Megatron and his Decepticons are already here.
Transformers Devastation is the kind of Transformers game the Transformers franchise deserves. It's not just kind of good, like one or two Transformers games we've reviewed before. It's just good, period. It's a quality, solid beat-em-up title. The game itself doesn't really remind me that much of the Michael Bay films. It really reminds me of the classic 1980s cartoon. The environment and the graphics are colorful, the robots are still big and powerful, but the game also has a light-hearted feel. It's not dark and depressing like the last Transformers game I reviewed, or some of the parts of the Michael Bay movies. And really, the Michael Bay movies, even during the comedy portions, the movie is dark and depressing. You just can't take Shakespearean actors like Megan Fox and Shia LaBeouf and expect them to do slapstick. Transformers Devastation is one part a pretty simple beat 'em up and one part infinitely complicated. The simple part is more or less the combat. You basically use kind of weaker attacks and then powerful attacks. Then you can do various special moves once you perform a certain amount of combinations, or just once you hit an enemy enough times where your power meter bar, whatever it's called, fills up and you're able to do the special move. And every single robot has their own special move. And on top of that, every single robot can choose their own loadouts, which I'll talk about later. That's the complicated part. But the combat basically boils down to combinations mixed with special moves, mixed with evading. This is very important. Right after you evade, time kind of slows down, and aside from obviously not getting hit, you can get a few hits off. In this game, you basically play robots that are all boxing counterpunchers, especially against enemies that are hard. Obviously, some of the easier add-ons, all you have to do is spam attacks, they die, or of course, shoot attacks. There's also shooting in the game, and these are mostly for robots that fly, but obviously you can shoot any robot you want. Mixed in with melee fighting and shooting are the driving portions of the game. Turning into a car obviously makes you go faster, so it's a way to traverse the environment faster. But also, aside from that, the driving is mixed in with the melee fighting. A lot of times you need to drive around a little bit and then ram into an enemy to perform a really powerful attack, and then you drive away from the enemy to evade their powerful attacks, which is another way you can evade attacks aside from the evade that slows time. Now, the complicated, complex part of the combat and gameplay comes in the fact that there's just so much to customize in the game. It's overwhelming at first, at least until you pick the perfect type of gameplay style for yourself. And by this I mean there's a ton of different Transformers you can play as, and all of them have their own starting weapons, their own special moves. They even turn into their own type of vehicle. And also, the further you get in the game, the more new robots you keep unlocking. So it's just like you can't decide which robot you want to play as. Although I kind of stuck with Optimus Prime. There's no reason for that. I'm sure there are robots that I had more fun with. I just figured, hey, he's the leader, whatever. Now, all the robots start with a special melee type weapon and a special gun to shoot enemies from far away, but these could be changed. You go into the menu in between the fighting portions of the game, and you can customize your robot insanely. There's so many weapons you unlock and then equip your character with. There's so many power-ups you can equip your character with to make the character stronger. So it's just hard to decide how you want to play. My favorite weapons for most of the gameplay are these giant slow hammers. These are very slow, but they're perfect for right after you dodge. Like I said earlier, right after you roll out of the way of enemy attacks, time slows down a little bit, and at this point, I hit the enemy one or two times. There's no way to evade after time slows down like that. And just a few hits with these powerful weapons will be enough to really devastate, haha, game's title, kind of tied that in there, your opponent. But, of course, the weapons are very slow, so the negative would be when you're not attacking right after dodging, it is hard to hit your enemy, especially the really fast ones or the ones that fly. The biggest problem I ran into with this game is sometimes I just don't know when to dodge an enemy attack. For the most part, it makes perfect sense. It's right before the enemy hits you. But there are some enemies, like there's a few like these big robots that I just couldn't time. I try to dodge right after they attack, a little bit before they attack, at different points in their attack animation, and it just seems random. It seems like I can never pinpoint it. So that happens once in a while, but if this is the biggest problem with your game, you ain't got many problems, game. I would say Transformers Devastation is a solid quality title. As you've seen in the gameplay, it looks fun, and believe me, it's just as much fun to actually play it. It gets an official stanburdman rating of an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.